Thanks very much, Chair. It's always lovely to follow Senator Garvey with the passion and commitment she has for her contributions. And I echo everything she said, and particularly in terms of the motivation behind motions like this. And I always get the sense from contributions from the other side, and particularly from Sinn Féin, that it's almost about trying to create a division between renters and homeowners, or renters and landlords. And that's certainly not the case from the government side. I was someone who rented for a long time, for 10 or 12 years in Cork, and moved from about 3 or 4 places, and had that experience of getting notice that you have to move out within 28 days, and the fear of trying to find somewhere for the exact same price when you're not on what would be considered even a half decent salary when you're starting off just at being out of college. So I understand it. I understand it from both sides, and I understand the fear of being a renter, and almost feeling, especially in the last 10 years, that it's almost impossible to get out of the renting market to buy or purchase your own home. But it needs to be recognised that changes have been made in the last number of years by this government and by previous governments. And some of these things that have been brought forward have actually been opposed by Sinn Féin, like the Help to Buy scheme, which is there to essentially promote building of new properties. But it's to support a sector that over the last 10 or 15 years have really struggled to buy new homes, and most importantly to struggle to save to get a deposit for new homes, and it's been hugely successful. But one of the biggest obstacles in terms of owning your own home or having enough is actually building of houses, and the need to build more houses. And I would be hopeful that next month that the construction industry and the private sector is back up and running, because at the moment we're losing about 800 houses a week in the construction sector. And if you have, it doesn't matter whether it's a private house or a social house, if you have one more house on the housing market, that improves every sector of the housing market. And I do think it's important as well from the building sector to expand on the planning applications, because we don't want to get into a situation after COVID where there's been planning applications in place for people to build, but they haven't had the opportunity to start, and the whole process has started all over again, which delays the process for everyone and isn't good for the housing market or the renting market or anything else. And if we're really talking about encouraging people to live in certain areas and to have the investment in housing, we need to also invest in water. And I could talk a long time about the need of how we need to invest in water, but we don't have the time to discuss it tonight. I was listening earlier on to the contribution by Senator Gavin, who's in a neighbouring constituency of mine, right across the border, the All-Ireland champions at the moment. But he's managed to find, in fairness to him, he's managed to find one example in an area where there's only 27% of the whole country that's not in the rent pressure zone, where a couple have had their rent increased from 1,200 to 1,400. And that's not good, and I know of certain cases in Tipperary as well. Yeah, but it is true, and in fairness, he recognised it is true to state that no one can be evicted at the moment from their house during COVID. And it is the case that after COVID, if someone is asked to move out, and I presume the case he's talking about has been more than a year that they've been living there, because if their rent is changing, it couldn't have changed within a year. That means that they have 4 months to look. So, you know, if he's suggesting that someone can move out, which he did in the space of a month from their house, I think that's a bit disingenuous. And even if they're there more than 3 years, then they've got 180 days, which is 6 months. And these changes were made long before I was in the situation where I only had 28 days to move out of my place. So, there's a lot of talk from the opposition side in terms of housing and trying to take ownership of it, but I don't think it's a true reflection on where we are. But look, I recognise the challenges for renters. I had it myself for a long, long time, and I felt in that position of never being able to get out of it. And I have family members who are the same at the moment. So it's a challenge, but to to suggest that that Sinn Féin have the solutions to these problems when, you know, most of them are just most of them are just most of them are just fanciful. Most of them are just fanciful. And actually, the things that we've done that have worked, almost everything we've done, almost everything that has succeeded in solving the problem, you've rejected. Almost everything that has succeeded in solving the problem to date, you've rejected. So every time you reject something, it means it's working.
Excuse me.
It means it's working.
You will speak through the chair. I'm sorry.
You can't take ownership of it.
Especially on International Women's Day.
You're totally trying to take ownership. You're trying to create the vision. You're trying to do what you do in every sector of society, which is create the vision. No, you're trying to create the vision.
You will speak to the chair. You will have to leave the building, please. Okay? A bit of basic respect for the chair. Thank you.